Welcome to the Creator Hour here on the Full Dive Gaming Podcast. In the Creator Hour, we spotlight VR content creators and talk about their upcoming projects, what work they're doing to help spread the joy of VR to the world. We're sitting down with Tyson of TwoBit. Tell our audience who you are and a little bit about what you've got coming.
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, I'm TwoBit. And I've been making videos for years now. It's really my passion. I've always been a technology enthusiast. And what I'm aiming to do here for my next big video is I'm going to be doing a week on a VR treadmill. I have several special guests that are going to be coming on. I've been talking to Cat VR to get the treadmill here as soon as possible. And I'm going to be live streaming this full week in VR to see how immersed you can get and if your brain can completely accept virtual reality as your reality.
Well, I am excited to have you on. I think this is a lot to talk about. Thank you. And while we're saying thank you, we got to thank our sponsor of this podcast, Asterion Products. They make awesome AR, VR headset accessories. This Asterion Aura headset stand that I actually have one customized in the background. You can kind of see with my glow there. Go on Amazon, check them out. Use code FULLDIVE10 for another 10% off.
Thank you again for coming on, TwoBit. You've shared with us some details about your upcoming week-long VR live stream, and I'm excited to hear about the whole plan. How much planning has gone into preparing for this so far?
So much planning. So I was on a road trip in the end of August, but I was trying to think of the next video that I wanted to do because I'm the kind of guy, I love to have a project. I love to do videos. And my last video happened to be done on a road trip. So I was thinking about it. And I thought to myself, you know what I want to do? I want to do a week in VR. That sounds cool. That sounds novel. Sounds unique. So I get home, I look it up, and I find a video by Disrupt with 24 million views. He had already done it. But I love this idea. And I watched his video and it was good. But there were some spots that I was like, you know what? I still want to explore that further. And so what I hadn't seen done before until yesterday, Jay, when you released your video, which was awesome, by the way.
Oh, gosh.
was I hadn't seen anybody live stream the entire event. I know people had done long live streams before, but I've never seen somebody live stream themselves in a week in VR. And so I said, that's what I'm going to do. And what would make that even better is if I could do it on a treadmill, because VR treadmills, I don't know how up to date you guys are. I assume pretty up to date. They've come a long way, especially the one I'm going to be using, the Catwalk C2 Plus. So I reached out to Catwalk because they did a Kickstarter and I hadn't ordered one yet. And so I was going to have to wait till possibly January, maybe December, depending on when I could get it. And I go out to them like, hey, look guys, here's my idea. I want to do a week in VR. I'm going to get guests on. I'm going to live stream the entire thing, but I can't wait till December. I need it. Can you get it to me by October? And they said, we love the idea. We're going to get you that treadmill. They just barely cleared customs. Hopefully coming this next week, I'll have the treadmill just in time to start in October 1st is my goal for the stream. Yeah. And that's really what set this all in motion, because otherwise it would have been, anyway, sorry, I just get really excited about this.
It's good.
Yeah. So I get really big on this. I'm like, oh crap, I have Catwalk on board. Like, this is real now. And so I start going out. I have some friends that I reached out to. Dawn Somewhere, if you're familiar with them, they've been making animations and videos on YouTube for years now. I'm friends with him and I reach out to him like, hey, I have this idea. What do you think? And he's like, that's awesome. I'll be there. You know what? I know this Pikapedi, another animator. He's like, I'll reach out to him. He does a lot of VRChat. He reaches out to him. He gets him on board. And now I have a guide to VRChat for a day, or possibly more. Just depends on what his schedule is like.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you've already got people on board. You've already got the treadmill coming. Hopefully it's going to get there enough time to set up, because these things, they take some work to build, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be arriving in 4 different packages, if I understand correctly. And then I'm going to have to build the whole thing, and I'm going to have to get the software running, because I don't have experience with the software yet. And then I have to get it working on a stream. And I have to hope that the shoes fit.
We've seen some things about Catwalk VR. I think Jay has a video on it, on the different treadmills. And it seems interesting.
Have you tried the C2?
Unsafe. Haven't tried it.
Okay.
The Omni was one of the last ones we were on.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Which I think is a little bit similar, with the shoes.
Yeah, they're very similar. What I love about the Catwalk C2, so the reason I haven't pulled the trigger already and had a VR treadmill, because obviously if I'm doing a week in VR, I'm a VR enthusiast, right? The reason I haven't pulled the trigger is what they've been lacking is being able to crouch was a big one for me with pretty much every treadmill, because you're harnessed into it, but they couldn't crouch.
Yep.
And you could only walk straight forward. And finally with the C2, you can crouch and you can walk in multiple directions. But what's really nice, because I could be on this thing for a week, it has a built-in seat that swings out, so you can actually sit down there and give your legs a rest, which is going to be big. I think I'm going to be sore by day 3.
I think you're going to be sore by day 1.
Yeah, that's fair.
What do you normally do? Like, are you on your feet a lot every day? Is this going to be a total shock to your body?
So that's the thing. So I was 3 days into planning when I realized, oh my gosh, I'm really not fit enough to be on a treadmill for a week. And so I'm actually working on a video that I want to release just before the live stream that's just preparing for a week in VR because of how much has gone into this. I did not expect it to be so much technical stuff, so much planning with other people, and I've actually been physically training for it. So I have been running every morning and doing weights in the evening every day except for Sunday. So I have a rest day. So that's nice to have a little bit of a rest. But yeah, I have been training hard and I've already quadrupled how much I could run. That sounds more impressive than it is because I was starting out at a quarter mile.
Nice.
But yeah, it's going to be a shock to the system. I'm definitely prepared for that. But you know what? Bodies are resilient. I'll push through it. I've pushed through things before.
Gonna be bringing out that little seat, you know.
Oh yeah,
You're
for
like,
sure.
okay, I'm done. It's seat time. We're sitting.
Sorry guys, we're gonna sit down, you know, do some beat saber, use my arms and let my poor leg muscles. Yeah.
You're gonna need like a little snack bag tied to
a snack
it.
bag would be good. Oh man.
So I'm interested to hear. So we've heard kind of like what motivated this idea, but I kind of want to know too, what are you hoping to learn or gain from doing this live stream and being on the treadmill in VR?
Yeah. So my main, like one line motivation is how immersed can you get? Because like consumer VR that's really high quality with the original Vive and the original Quest. No, not Quest. The original Oculus. What did they call it? Just the consumer kit one or Rift?
The Rift.
Sorry, my bad. With the original Vive and the original Rift has been out for like over 6 years now. And so I want to know how immersed I can get. Thrill Seeker did a video where he ran a half marathon in VR, right? I don't know if you've seen it, but he runs a half marathon on a VR treadmill. And I'm sure you're aware of runner's high, like that phenomenon. He gets to that point and he said it was like the most immersive thing he's ever had in VR. Like his brain completely accepted where he's at. I'm like, that is awesome. Can I get there without running half a marathon? And then the other half, like the other part of this, I mean, there's a lot to explore, right? The other big part of this is my hardest sell with people getting them into VR is selling them that there's enough experiences for it to be worth getting the headset. And I totally think that there is. But the problem is they're like, oh, well, what big games are there? It's like, well, there's Boneworks, there's Half-Life Alyx, there's Beat Saber. And they're like, well, is that it? I'm like, well, there's lots of little experiences. So what I want to prove is there is enough VR content to be a full week in VR and still have a good time doing unique things.
Well, here's something that's kind of interesting because just as you said, there's been people who have done VR challenges before, but typically you have two types of people. One, they've never hardly been in VR. And they do this as something, it's a channel stunt, it's something like that. And then you have people like us who are VR enthusiasts who are doing it. And of course, there's still a stunt and challenge side of it, but you're also trying to learn something, you're trying to gain something. So I think, what is your background here? Like, how long you've been in VR? What headsets have you liked? Tell us a little bit about that side that led you to this.
Yeah, for sure. So VR, I have been stoked about the idea since, since I was a kid and like, it'd be cool is to be in the video game, right? But I have been using VR since the original Google Cardboard. When I first got my hands on one of the original Google Cardboards and I was putting my phone in that thing, I was like, this is amazing. And I would show it to everybody. I could get it to put on their face, to hold this thing up. Because the one I had didn't even have a strap. I was just like, hold this to your face. And I had this like experience where you'd like be floating over a lake and then a train would come at you and it would freak people out. It was awesome. I can't remember the name of the thing. It was like 8 years ago or something. Anyway, that's where I started. And then as soon as the first Vive came out, I was like, yes, finally, I get that thing and I play my first game with Space Pirate Trainer. And it was the most mind-blowing experience I had ever done in like technology. I was like, this is incredible. And I was hooked right there. And so ever since I've been a big enthusiast. And so currently I have an Index and I have a Quest 2. I still have my original Vive sitting on a shelf over there. That's why I'm looking over here. Yeah. And so I've been spending a lot of time in VR.
Nice. And you're going to be doing a lot more than just being on a treadmill. I mean, you're saying sleeping, eating, and even bathing.
Yes.
So how is bathing going to work? Not only because you have to do it with technology around, but also, I mean, are you really like, is there going to be a live stream that catches like your head or something like that? What is your plan there?
So I really wanted...
On
Okay.
OnlyFans?
Yeah, you stole my joke. That was my joke. No. That's really good. That's a really good point. So that was one of the big things is I'm looking into this. So I don't have a lot of experience live streaming. I've done a couple, but I haven't done a ton of live streams. I've mostly done videos over the years on a couple of different channels. But live streaming, one of the things that I found out pretty quickly is you cannot live stream in a bathroom on Twitch and YouTube, which is where I'm going to be streaming. I'm streaming to both Twitch and YouTube. So I can't stream in a bathroom, which was really upsetting because I wanted to prove to people, look, I'm showering with this headset on.
Mm-hmm.
So I will just have, essentially, I'll have like a title screen like, hey, I'm at the bathroom, for the chat when I'm going to the bathroom. But I'm going to have a camera in there. I'm going to record myself showering, waist up, classy, not on OnlyFans, like you were saying, to have in the video that I'm going to be putting out. I want to try to have it out within 2 weeks of finishing the live stream. It's going to be a lot of editing, but I want to try to have that out. And I want to have in that finished video, me trying to scrub my hair in VR and trying to deal with all of that to prove, yes, I actually did it.
How is that going to work? How are you going to do this without killing
Drowning
your headset?
Yeah. So I actually have 3 headsets I'm going to be using for this. I stole my brother's Index. And I'm going to be using that for most of it because corded hooked up to the computer is going to be the easiest to do with streaming. I have my Quest 2 that I'll have to use for like the pass-through to be able to do the cooking and stuff, which I'll talk about later. And then I actually just have a Google Cardboard, like one of the plastic ones that you put your phone in. And since my phone's water resistant, I'm just going to shower with that on.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it won't have pass-through, so it's going to be tough, right? As far as it's essentially like showering blindfolded, but I'm still in VR. I think that counts.
Did you ever have a Gear VR? Or do you know anyone who had one? Because
I never tried the Gear VR.
You might even take, if you have a different head strap on your Quest 2, you might take your stock Quest 2 head strap and duct tape that thing to the Google Cardboard. So at least you can strap it to your head for the shower part, and it'll stay on. So, and it's a cloth strap. So
for sure. I do actually have, I pulled the deluxe audio strap off my Vive and that's on my Quest now. I do 3D printing. So I just printed some adapters. But yeah, what I have is just like one of those plastic ones that you put your phone in. It's not the Gear VR, but it has a strap and everything. It's like name brandless. It's been sitting in a closet. I'm like, this is perfect for that.
I can't remember who it was, but there was someone else who did a week in VR and who was it?
That was Disrupt. They claimed that they showered.
Oh, okay.
But they showed this huge plastic
he showed this big old plastic thing. I don't really buy that he showered with the plastic thing on.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he did. I don't want to doubt him. It was a great video. But I'm not so convinced because he looked pretty clean by the end of it.
Yeah. He probably tried it once and as it fell apart, maybe he moved on. But I do know there is some waterproof headsets that people use in pools and stuff too.
Really?
I don't know. You've only got 2 weeks, but who knows? Maybe you can find one.
That's interesting. Okay, I'll look into that. Yeah. The budget for this is already spiraling. I mean, I'm like $2,500 deep into the equipment I'm going to be doing because the treadmill itself was like almost $2,000 just buying that thing and having it shipped here, which was ridiculous.
Now, Kat, they didn't give it. You
no, they didn't give it to me, but they did agree to ship it to me quickly. I didn't negotiate it, so I reached out to them like, "Look, I'm still willing to pay. Can you get it to me by this time?" And I didn't want to push it. I probably could have worked out some sort of sponsorship thing, but oh well.
Man,
hindsight,
do what
right?
You gotta do.
It's all right. I'd been wanting to get it for a while. It caught, I spent all of my money. I'm broke now, but then with Pika Petey, the animator on YouTube, you can look him up. It's just one word. He does a lot of VRChat stuff, and I was talking to him. I'm like, "Hey, awesome! I'm so glad that you're going to be my guide." He's like, "Yeah, you have to have full body tracking." I'm like, do I have to? I just sort of blew $2,000 on a treadmill. He's like, dude, if we're doing VRChat, you have to do it right. You have to have full body. I'm like, please. He's like, you have to. I'm like, okay. And so I'm spending like getting the 3 Vive trackers and the mounts gear up to like almost $500 on that too. And then I had to get
we hope this video just goes really well and it'll just be a return on your
offset
investment.
The cost.
Me too. We'll see. I don't know that I'm going to get ad revenue to that degree, but I'd sure like that.
And so while we're talking about the showering and all these tech things we've touched on a little bit, how are you going to deal with if you happen to have tech issues while you're doing the live stream, when you're in VR? Have you thought about this? Have you had any experience with this thus far?
Yes. So I'm really like a jack of all trades. I have done a lot of things. I have done 3D printing. I worked at an orthodontic lab, still technically kind of employed with them. It's I'm like part-time with them. I just come in and do projects when they don't know how to do it. And I
Fun.
actually am IT certified in several things. So I have a lot of tech
Nice.
experience. So definitely have experience. As far as streaming, it's a little bit new, but at least I know computers. And so it's one of my big goals is I want it to be a 1 week unbroken stream, because on YouTube, when your stream is over, you have the VOD. And again, yesterday when you released your video, I had no idea you were doing that, which is awesome. Great minds think alike, right? And I really liked your video. And you had your VODs, and they were split up into. Did you stream on YouTube and Twitch?
Just YouTube at the time.
YouTube? Okay.
Yeah, I wanted
And
to
it saves the
simul stream,
VODs,
but I
right?
just didn't get it right. Well, yes, but you have to restart them every 12 hours, because after 12 hours,
you?
it'll keep streaming, but it won't save beyond 12 hours. On YouTube.
Really?
So
Oh,
that was an
no.
issue.
I didn't know that. I was wondering, because dang it. Because I was really hoping that by the end of the week, I would be able to end the VOD or the stream, and then I would have a 170-hour long video sitting on my channel, because I think that'd be incredible. But darn, if it's going to be breaking him up.
That's the idea there. I don't know if Twitch, you should ask a Twitch affiliate on that one. But the other thing too, that's barring your internet never drops. You know, there's all those kinds of tech things to worry about.
We had that happen a few times for
for sure.
Jay's stream. It was
that's
super annoying,
so YouTube,
especially towards the end.
It's sort of roundabout how you go about actually activating it, but YouTube has an option to not automatically stop when you lose your stream. And so that's part of the reason why I'm having it on two computers, right? So I have the computer that's going to be running all of the VR, and then I have a computer that's going to be running all of the streaming. And I had to get a capture card to run the video from the gaming computer to the streaming computer. I've had to work with this whole audio setup to stream the audio from the gaming computer to the streaming computer. But then I also have to be able to hear the alerts on the streaming computer. Again, it's a headache. But that way, if VR crashes, you know, sometimes it just breaks, you got to reboot or something. And I didn't want that to kill the stream. That's the big reason I'm doing two computers. So I have a laptop that, so it would be quieter. I hooked up an external GPU too, so it could run that and be a little bit quieter and more powerful. And hopefully that, you know, it's tethered, it's got LAN, and hopefully that doesn't drop. It very well could. But if it doesn't, then if it does, then YouTube hopefully won't auto stop the stream again, it's kind of a weird setup to have the checkbox. But it shouldn't stop the stream, and I should be able to restart. But man, if it stops saving after 12 hours, I'm going to have to rethink that.
Now, that's what I was told by one of my mods. They were actually at the Disrupt Twitch stream when Disrupt did theirs. And they said it won't go beyond 12, which I don't think I ever actually tested, but they are an expert in most things, so I believe them. So that also could be outdated information. You probably want to look into that, but they said that. So I never let it go quite beyond 12. I always restart at 12, or there's a few like 3-minute streams where the internet was just struggling and I streamed for like 3 minutes, restarted. But I trusted their judgment, but you might want to look into it at least.
For sure. Yeah, I'll look into that. That's interesting. And so as far as the rest of the troubleshooting, I have it set up with, I have a remote desktop installed. I use Parsec to, if you know what that is, to control my laptop from the desktop. So while I'm in VR, I can still control the laptop, even though I can't, take off the headset, look at that computer.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot of software. I have it all written down because it really gets scrambled in my head. There's just so many parts. That's why it's been taking so long. Again, I had this, it was the end of August, like the last Tuesday of August, I think, that I've been planning on this. And it's just been so many technical hurdles, but I'm really excited because I finally have everything to where it's working well. And it's pretty much ready to go minus the treadmill.
I just picture you having like a room with like, all these big like pieces of paper and like yarn going to this and that. And like,
Oh, sorry. I was just thinking, the last video I put out on my YouTube channel, I had one of those walls with yarn and pictures and everything. And I was being like a crazy conspiracy dude about food. Anyway.
It
totally feels that way. Like I have okay, and then the streaming computer needs to come over here and connect, and then but then it has to not drop, and so I tie this string, and I definitely feel that. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Well, when I went to do this, luckily I had been streaming a lot and I had made videos for a while. I'd done a lot of VR. I will tell you one word of caution. It is, if you haven't been troubleshooting so far with a VR headset on, it might not be a bad idea to do a little bit of that first, because it is so much different when you normally in a stream, I had a problem, I'd pop my headset off, run over and fix something. But all of a sudden it was like, I can't take this headset off. Like, how do I fix this from here? That was one issue. And then, of course, the human body can survive a week without food, but I'm guessing you're not going to do that. So what is your plan for eating? Do you have just frozen pizzas for days?
Just not eating. That's the plan. 7 days.
some
Double challenge.
people do it.
No.
Oh.
So that I thought about it, and I was like, you know what I really want to explore is every aspect. If you were to actually do this, and I don't live alone, but if you were to do this and it was just you, because you can't really rely, like not all of us can really rely on somebody bringing us food every day, right? I mean, yeah. And so I'm going to make that part of the stream. I'm setting up a camera in my kitchen and just using the pass through in the quest. I'm going to hope I don't cut off my finger, and I'm going to be cooking on the stove. I have frozen. I'm going to be doing like meal prep, but yeah, I'm going to be doing like 2 meals a day that are just going to be prepped or cereal or something like that.
Nice.
But I want to be cooking on stream at least one time a day. And it I think it'll be a little bit of a hot mess, but it'll be great. It'll be fantastic. I'll be like, I don't know. I think I measured that right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm really
That's
excited.
awesome.
I'm really excited. Yeah, that pass through.
That'll
For anyone that hasn't used the pass through on the quest, I know you have, because
Mhm.
again, you used it for 10 days, which is 10 days. But that pass through, it's not really like having pure vision. It's more
No.
like you're trapped in limbo. Everything is like this fuzzy black and white. I tried it. I tried wearing the headset for while I was doing stuff around the house, just to, like, is this going to be possible?
Mm.
And one thing is it like keeps popping up this message in front of you saying, hey,
Yep.
you're out of your area, and it can't get rid of it, which drives me insane.
Yep.
And then the other thing is like you're trapped in limbo. And so I was walking around middle of the day in my house. I like went to the bathroom, I went to the kitchen and stuff like that. It was almost spooky.
Yeah.
It was almost unnerving being in the pass through like that.
I feel like
Yeah.
that's going to be really freaky while cooking too, because things are going to be black and white. Like you're cutting up your broccoli, that's just this black blob.
Yeah.
It's like, oh. I wonder if that's going to affect the taste of the food. I'm interested in this. It's going to be very interesting.
I hope it's still edible. I suppose that's my bar. If it's edible, at least I'll be happy to be alive, right?
Yes.
I think that if the Quest Pro with full color pass through and all these rumors launch next month, you're gonna kind of wish that the stream had happened a month later.
I know, right? Yeah,
because that would be so easy.
They haven't done the official announcement on the Quest Pro, right? It was just the leaks, because I've seen the leaks.
Yep. October 11th.
It looks really cool, like how thin it is, and the cameras and the controllers. That's really neat.
Yeah, could be good. Hey, maybe you just like delay it slightly and be like, could I just get a free Quest Pro, please, for my video?
Excuse me, Mark. Hey, buddy. I know it's been a while. No, I'm not asking for money this time, Mark. No, just so your headset. Maybe you could just. No, Mark, don't hang up. Yeah. It's gonna be great. No, I'm really stoked about it. I'm really excited. When I was doing it, I thought I was legitimately just like, you know what? I'm gonna do this thing. I hope people will tune in. I think it's a novel idea. I don't know how people are like how into it people are gonna be, but I've been talking about it on some Discords that I'm in, and I've been sharing it with friends, and everybody I've told has been really stoked for the idea. I thought for sure somebody would be like, "You're an idiot. Why are you doing this?" But no, everybody's been like, "Oh heck yeah, I'll be there," and it's really been motivating, and it's really been pushing me to make this. I mean, the project's really been ballooning into so much more than what I originally had planned.
Yeah, I'm excited too. And I am interested to hear too. We talked about kind of like the eating part of the routine. Do you have any other kind of daily routine in mind? Are you going to be doing like specific things on each day? You talked about wanting to like try a bunch of different things. What is like, or are you going to have some kind of routine or just going for it?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things I am pretty certain is going to happen, and you can tell me if I'm right or not about this, Jay, but I don't think I'm going to have a good sense of time in the VR headset, right? Because night and day is just not going to exist. And so I'm planning on having a pretty set routine. I'm going to be waking up every day around 8. And I think, so I have a whole spreadsheet where I'm planning out every single day, and I have all the hours mapped out. So I can sort of plan what games I'm going to have. I'm still tweaking it a bit. But this way I can release it, and if somebody has a game that they really love, they're like, oh, I really want to see him play Boneworks, then they know what time, what day to come in roughly to watch me play that.
Cool.
And so every morning I'm going to be getting up at 8:30 my local time. I think your time, that would be 7:30. And then I'm going to be doing an exercise. And because I'm on a treadmill, that exercise will probably be running in Skyrim VR or Minecraft or something like that. We'll see. And then after that, I'm planning on playing a game before lunch. And then doing lunch, doing the whole cooking thing for lunch, and then doing a game after lunch, and then I'm Q&A before bed and sleeping around midnight local time.
Nice. Are you going to set up StreamTreats?
StreamTreats. So I'm a little bit new to streaming. Maybe like what's a
Jake,
stream treat?
Tell them more about StreamTreats because I am bad at explaining.
StreamTreats is the most expensive way that viewers can have food delivered directly to you. Basically, it sets up with DoorDash and stuff. It is a really cool idea, but it's too much money, so barely anyone ever does it. But like, you can go and put a local restaurant that you like and put your favorite order, and then if they click on your StreamTreats, they'll see you have, you know, Thai food and Mexican food and Chinese food. It's whatever food you chose, but they can choose this $20 package or this $30 package, and it will get delivered to your door by a person from DoorDash.
Cool.
Oh, that's way cool. Okay, yeah, I'll have to write that down.
It is really expensive. It's like you would assume that the amount you're paying is for like a full meal, but it's like for a boba or something.
Wow.
So it's pretty spendy, but you know, who knows? You might get some like rich person in that's like, yes, I will buy a stream treat for this young man.
$60 for this ham sandwich. I want to see him eat it.
Saves you the trouble for one meal, though. Yeah.
That's cool.
I don't know how many people do it, but it's a really cool idea. So yeah.
Now that you mention it, now that you've explained it, I actually saw that on a couple of I've been looking at a ton of streams so I can make sure I'm doing this right, and I've seen that on a couple of people on Twitch. So yeah, that'd be a really cool thing to set up. I'll have to do that for sure. I'm glad I'm talking to you guys. You guys have streamed a lot more than me. It's really cool.
You just come to the right place for all the experience. And speaking of the experience, the one thing everybody was the most worried about that showed up in the streams that asked me about this before and after was, what was I doing to my eyes? Has that come up? Have you thought about going to a doctor before and after this to make sure you don't do any damage? What do you think?
Well, personally, I'm not worried about my eyes because I've spent a lot of time in VR. And the thing about VR is it's not really like looking at a flat screen because it simulates a depth. And so your eyes are kind of having the same workout as just being outside. I think the focus distance is something like 6 feet away in most cases or something like that. So I'm not super worried. I could do the eye doctor. I went to the eye doctor a couple months ago. So I don't know. So if that's going to be a big issue with viewers on stream, I might have to do that just for peace of mind, right?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you from my experience, there didn't seem to be any negative effects. There was a little bit right after I first got out. It seemed like a day or two. It just felt like it was a little different. Like,
really,
my eyes just weren't used to, you know, seeing such bright light and such dark, and, you know, it was just, there was a little bit of time that was like a reacclimation, but the doctor didn't see any signs of any damage. Everything was fine. By now I'm completely normal, but I think that you'll probably get a lot of people showing up saying something like that. So it may be something to add to your plan for your final, you know, just make sure everything's still good.
I'll tell you what, anybody that comes to the stream, if I damage my eyesight, it's for you. Specifically you, the viewer. This is for your entertainment. I want you to know if it's worth it. If you want to risk your own eyes, you know, we can test it on mine first. If they break, you know, you're welcome.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're starting this stream in October, and you said you have your whole spreadsheet of like games that you're thinking of playing. I want to know, are you going to play any horror games?
I mean, it's October, right? I'm pretty sure that's the law that you have to do something spooky in October. So I actually wanted to ask you guys about this because like horror games and that's not my general forte. I don't play that very much. The only one I've done in VR is Phasmophobia. I was wondering if you guys had any good recommendations that I should play on stream that'll like really freak me out.
There's so one many. And it's free.
Okay.
Unless you want to do it co-op, then you pay $10 to get the co-op copy and another friend has to have it.
Okay.
And I'm racking my brain right now. It has a weird name, but it is terrifying. It was a lot. I play a lot of horror games and it was a bit much for me.
Perfect.
Oh gosh. Why can't I
Give
think
me a
of
heart
one?
attack.
Nat, do you know which one I'm talking about?
Is it more than one person?
It can be. I went back and played it with Dollface VR later on. I'll get it to you. I'm going to be sending you a list after this, you know, StreamTreats and everything else, all these, the eye thing and everything. So I'll make sure I get the name for you there. That's obviously a good one. Phasmophobia, although it's great multiplayer, playing it by yourself is one of the most terrifying things you can do in VR. Because all of a sudden you don't have friends there anymore and the ghost is hunting you. That's a really good and awful one.
I'll have to do it. I haven't done Phasmophobia since it like first released, like 2020, like the end of 2020 is when I played it. So I imagine that it's updated a ton.
Mm-hmm. Propagation.
Isn't that Blair Witch Project?
Propagation.
Oh, Propagation.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I will play Propagation and I will try doing Phasmophobia by myself and we'll see how freaked out I get because I'm excited. October, Halloween's actually been like historically my favorite holiday. So I'm very excited about it.
It is my favorite holiday now that I'm an adult.
Yeah?
Like Halloween, more fun than Christmas, for sure.
Oh, I loved it because I love dressing up. I've
So
done a lot of like cosplay and stuff like that. Like I did 3D printing professionally. I did a lot of stuff for trade shows. I did like 12-foot tall high heels for a party. I did a
Wow.
9-foot tall Buddha for this one store.
nice.
But that's the kind of 3D printing. But I've also done a lot of cosplay, and I just love doing that, the cosplay stuff. And so Halloween's always been fun to be able to dress up and do something, go out with, go out in public and have people go, that's awesome, instead of going, why are you dressed up, right? And then as a kid, of course, the free candy. How can you get anything better than free candy from strangers?
Yes. That is a really cool tradition that we have. Yeah, it's just such a weird thing when you think about it. Like, you just have your kids go to random people's houses and get candy. Right? But it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love it. I don't think everywhere, I don't think every country does it, which is sad because I love it.
It's so
great. Are people still doing that? It's, in current year.
last year, I feel like people were still out and doing it.
Okay, I'm glad. That was always my favorite as a kid.
That's great.
Well, it sounds like you've got a plan, you've got some preparations in place, but the one thing we haven't really touched on here, when I had to do mine, I had to be in one room because, I wanted to be on camera all the time. I didn't want to go put a camera in the bedroom where my wife and I sleep. I stayed alone in here. So what's your kind of room setup? How is this going? Are you in a big room with all this stuff? Are you just cameras throughout a house? How is this going to look?
So again, it's been like a month in the planning for all of this. So currently in the room I'm in, I won't spin my camera. That'd be, I don't want to mess with it on stream here. Plus the poor audio listeners, right? But in my room here, every wall is a different color. So the one I'm on right now is gray. The one across from me is completely green. So I can have the treadmill in front of that and have myself overlaid on the stream. I want to have a camera in the kitchen, right? And so to do that, I'm going to have to do it wirelessly, which you can do through, I forget the acronym, but it's like RMTP from a smartphone, and you can stream it to your computer. So I'll be doing that. I wanted to sleep in my own bed, but it's in a different room than all this VR stuff because it's just a lot to have in one room. So I will probably end up doing like an air mattress or something. But yeah, right now it's just a room. I have lights here. I have lights there. I have a green screen. I have a computer there. I have this computer that I'm talking on is actually the streaming computer. It is a room full of lights and hot electronics that I'm going to want to open a window. It is going to get toasty.
Yeah, especially in a VR headset. I don't know if your headsets have fans on them, but the little fan that goes in the front of the Valve Index from Kiwi that I had was a lifesaver during mine. It just
I saw that in your video. I was like, I'll probably want that.
Yeah, if you order one on Amazon,
I feel like you guys are gonna need another like separate little time to talk about all the tips and tricks,
all of the little details. I actually ordered extra face gaskets, like the face pads from Valve for the Index, so I can just swap them out magnetically there
when they get sweaty.
They're gonna get gross. Yeah, they're gonna get really gross. That's been like my biggest fear is like, oh man, I'm gonna get a rash and then just pimples. And by the time I take off this headset, it's just going to be this ring of headset imprint pimples, right? It's going to be middle school all over again. Yeah.
I'm interested to hear too so we talked about eating, we talked about showering. For sleeping, which headset are you going to use? And are you going to tape it to yourself to make sure it doesn't fall off while you're sleeping?
Was that like a big issue with it falling off?
Well, depending on which strap, I did have one mess up where I was asleep when it happened. I got it off my head, but it was only about 40 minutes before I realized something was wrong, but I was asleep and stuck it back on. People forgave me for that. But depending on what headset, what pillow, what strap, the headsets don't always want to stay on your face.
Interesting. So I have short eyelids, so I actually already sleep with a sleep mask, so I'm really used to it. So I think that'll help as far as like muscle reflex pushing it off of my face, like, while I'm asleep. So that should be good. I say that because I sleep, and when I'm asleep, my eyelids are actually partially open here. Mm-hmm. And so my eyes dry out. So I'm used to a mask, so that'll help. I was planning on switching out. I was going to wear the Quest 2 for sleeping, because it's wireless and I don't have to worry about tangling myself up in my sleep, and I was going to switch out from the Deluxe audio strap because it has that knob on the back that I've laid down with that headset on before, and it's really a pressure point. So I was planning on just using the stock strap. I was hoping to add a little bit of padding in it to make it a little bit more natural. And then I have like a curved pillow that should hopefully help me just be able to ergonomically fall asleep and hopefully forget about the headset on there and not remove it in my sleep. Because if I remove it in my sleep, I wake up and I'm out of VR. I'm like, what a nice morning. My eyes feel, oh no. I don't want to be like 4 days in and then restart.
Right. Oh no.
Oh man.
I just feel like that meme where the guy's like about to get hung and he's looking at the other guy. He's like, first time. I spent one night with the stock strap.
Yeah.
And hated it.
Oh, interesting.
And the reason why is because since it's made of elastic, you don't really think about this in normal play. But when you lay back, you've already got the weight of the headset pushing on your face. You now have the elastic pulling it even further into your face because it uses the pressure. And so what happened was it pushed so hard on my face the first night that I barely slept and I felt like crap the whole night. I switched out to the Kiwi Elite strap because it's got plastic arms. And so those arms helped push that pressure off my face when I laid back a little bit. Okay. But then I took a neck pillow from like a flight and I just wrapped that around the back of the head strap because
that's a good idea.
It had like the pressure points, just like you said with the deluxe audio strap, but with that round pillow, it just made it all into kind of one shape. And then I just laid back in that. So that was what I ended up doing. But then after the night it slipped off, the next night I was like, okay, I'll just make a chin strap out of the elastic strap to hold the thing down. And I woke up in the night thinking I was being strangled because that chin strap was pushing on my neck. So that was a tough thing. That was a tough solution to find.
Oh my gosh.
So I would,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. You might lay back a little bit in the meantime, do a little prep work, put a strap on, just kind of see how it feels and decide, because that was more of a problem than I thought. I thought I'll just put the stock strap on, it won't be a big deal. And it was painful having that thing pushing on my face all night.
All right, you have me thinking now. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a memory foam pillow and I'm going to cut a hole in the back of it for the knob of the deluxe strap so that it can just sit in there, and then I have like even pressure down on this foam pillow. And if anything, that'll help keep my head in place, right? Because if I turn, it'll hit the knob on the slot that I've carved. I'm going to try that out.
Yeah, and with that deluxe audio strap, you'll have a much harder time at falling off because that thing really holds onto the bottom of your head.
It grips. It's nice.
And the headphones are there. I definitely think that's a safe bet for your plan here. So
for sure.
This sounds like you've got a lot going on. I'm really excited for you. Was there anything else you were thinking about, questions you had, or things you wanted to share with our podcast before we sign off here?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things. So one thing that I'm doing to sort of make the stream more like viewer engagement is I'm setting up a wheel of punishments. I don't have like a final list of what's going to be on there. It's going to be anybody that donates probably any amount. I'll have this wheel that I'm running, and it spins the wheel, and whatever it lands on, I have to do. And I have a list somewhere, but I have a variety of things like I only get one shoe for 15 minutes, or I only get one controller for a few minutes, or I have to beat the entire museum level in Boneworks, or what else? I have to write a haiku for whoever donated, that kind of thing, to keep things really interesting, keep things fresh, right?
Oh, man.
Really make people engaged. And
make it even worse.
So you mentioned this in your video that I watched yesterday. Minecraft VR, you love it, right? I love it. It is one of the best. The Vivecraft mod is definitely one of my all-time favorite VR experiences. And so I'm actually going to be setting up a server for the VR mod that people can join in while I'm playing, and it's going to be hardcore. So if you die, you're out. That way we can keep having new people join the VR, the server, unless I die, then we have to start a new one entirely. But I'm going to be setting up a server for hardcore Minecraft, and I'm going to try to beat the entire game in VR doing hardcore. And I'm sure you're familiar with hardcore, but if you die, then your world gets deleted.
Painful.
Nice.
So I'm going to be doing that. Yeah. What else?
I feel like you're
obviously I'll
just
be doing
really punishing yourself in this.
If VR wasn't enough for a week, you've added all these layers to really make this at least interesting for the viewer. But it's going to be a tough week for you.
Oh, well, you know what? I'm up for it. I'm very passionate about things. I get really obsessed about projects that I care about. Like this one here, like I said, ever since it's been like 3 weeks that I've been planning this thing, and it's all that's been on my mind, to like the detriment of trying to get other responsibilities taken care of. And so, it's a lot, but you know what? I've had a month to prepare. And again, I have these awesome guests coming on that are going to support me in it. And I have Catwalk on board and a lot of friends supporting me, and hopefully viewers coming to, laugh at me, spin the wheel of punishment, and maybe if they're feeling nice, to give me some kind words of encouragement as well.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So as I've mentioned, I'm going to be doing VRChat with a guide. because one of the most common things that you hear with these social apps like VRChat and Neos is that they're better if you go into it with like a guide. And I've definitely found that to be the case in my own escapades going to VRChat, just going to random worlds. It can be a bit colorful, I'll say that. But I really want to contrast VRChat and Neos, because those seem to be the really two big ones right now. And I was wondering if you guys knew somebody maybe that could that would be interested in joining me on the stream and guiding me through Neos, because that's one that I have no exposure to.
I do. A couple people showed me around in it. Luckily, I'll get you some contact information. Skiva, if you know of him, real well known in the VR industry. He's one of the two hosts of the Between Realities podcast.
Okay.
And then VR with Jasmine, she hangs out with them real closely. They all took me through Neos to kind of show me what it was about, because I hadn't spent much time in Neos. I can try to reach out and see. And if not them, there's some people in Neos. They're all really helpful. Neos is like the nicer version of VRChat, actually, from what I've seen. Which is kind of nice, because I was in VRChat briefly in the stream, and the lobby that I'd meant to make private, I made public, and a bunch of teenagers that were trying to be edgy came in, throwing all kinds of terrible words and costumes around. So yeah, it can be very dicey if you're on stream in VRChat. But yeah, I'll do my best to see if we can find you some Neos people, because I know a couple that are pretty well.
I would really appreciate it, because I think it would be really interesting for people to see the contrast of like a community experience in VRChat versus a curated experience in Neos, right? Because if you're just going in randomly, it really just depends on the people. And so I'm really interested to see what a curated experience in the two looks like, and maybe help people decide which one that they actually want to get into themselves.
Definitely. Well, we're going to make sure, of course, that there's links in the show notes, in the description on YouTube, to everything you've got coming, your channel, where you're going to stream this thing. And I mean, I know I'm going to want to be there. I'm going to pop in and check in on you. I wouldn't even mind. I wouldn't even mind if at some point in the stream you wanted to do a live interview while you're stuck on the freaking treadmill and talk a little bit about how you feel about how it's gone. I'd love to hear more during it. Yeah, we should.
Yeah, I'm hoping to break my mind. I'm hoping that it melts and comes out my ears, right? I want to be so immersed that I'm just downloaded into the headset. But that, yeah, absolutely. I'd be totally down.
Yes, we're gonna make sure that everybody out there gets to see more of this, because I'm excited to see what happens to you. I definitely think that your last step here, and what I would feel the most worried about, is if that treadmill comes in like 2 days before and you don't have much time to figure that thing out. Because I know that like on treadmills, people learn a lot of times that you don't turn left and right the same amount. So you'll end up winding up your cable and breaking it. So like you might want to install turn signal on Steam.
I'm planning on doing a pulley for the cable, so it's elevated above me. And then I've been using turn signal for a while, so I'll have that steady with spinning. It'll be fun. I'll be able to do like little ballerina spins every now and again. Like, oh, hold on, I've been only turning left.
Yeah, who knew that we only turn one way most of the time? I didn't know that till
that
VR.
was the weirdest thing. That's one of my favorite things about using turn signal. I'm like, why do I only turn this way? It is so weird.
We're not ambi-turners. Oh, well, I am so excited. We're going to make sure that everybody we know finds out about this, because I know when I was in VR, it was so supportive. I had all kinds of people and channels show up, and it was a really amazing experience. And I hope everything that I got from my experience and more you get out of yours, because
the nice things.
Well, obviously, no, I hope you get all of it. The bad stuff too, because that's what makes the experience, you know. True, when you get to that moment, where you're like, what am I doing right now? That is the pinnacle of this kind of experience. So I am really excited for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm super excited for it as well.
Nat, you got any other final words here before we sign off?
I feel like we need to commit to getting him a stream treat at some point, at least once during.
If you set up StreamTreats, I will have food delivered to you at least one time during your stream.
Thank you. That's one less chance of risking cutting off my finger trying to chop vegetables in VR.
Awesome. Well, if you're out there and you're listening to this and you're like, man, I want to hear more about it, I want to make sure I don't miss this notification, you can come join our Discord, or you can go down to the description right now, subscribe and follow everything to do with 2Bit here, so that you don't miss when this gets started. Because I mean, we're only, by the time this podcast goes live, this might be a week away, so it's coming.
Date I'm planning currently, it's a week long, so I'm starting October 1st, which is a Saturday, and I'm going to be streaming through the 8th, which is the next Saturday. So from the 1st to the 8th, and I'll definitely be making an announcement on my stuff. So follow me on my YouTube or my Twitter, and you'll be able to know when I'm going to be going live.
Awesome. And if you're out there and you're listening to this podcast, remember, we're here on YouTube. If you want to come see 2Bit's background that he was talking about, see his very lively face here, come check us out on YouTube. We appreciate it. And if you've been thinking about VR, maybe it's time to be like 2Bit and just dive on in.
Dive on in.